All right.
Um, all right, we are ready to go with the Outer Wilds.
All right.
Our little hatchling friend, ready to go?
Yeah. Hello, I'm ptminsker. This is Outer Wilds 100%. I am joined by the Strange Pie and Pest on commentary. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm the Strange Pie. I run this game and helped with routing a lot of categories and stuff like that.
Hi, I'm Pest. I am newer to running this game, but it has been a blast for as long as I've been playing it. So yeah.
All right. So quickly before we get in, this is a game that is very sensitive to spoilers. It's a 100% run, so we're going to be going basically everywhere and playing through the ending. It's a very excellent casual experience, so it's well worth experiencing without spoilers. So you have been warned. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna get into the run. Time is gonna start when I press E to wake up. I'll give a countdown. 3, 2, 1, start.
So yeah, this is 100%, so a brief description of what 100% means. Basically, we use the ship log on the ship computer, and we have to get all of the log entries, and we have to get all of the connecting arrows between all the different cards. So that's our definition of 100%. And we're going to start by doing geyser skip, which is where we use this geyser to get up to the ship early to get the spacesuit, which makes our movement faster.
And this is a really flashy looking trick, but there's a really, really nice setup.
Uh-oh.
That does not work when the quantum moon is rude.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Sadly, a bit of RNG there.
Yeah.
But it is just how it goes. Just a speedrun thing.
So yeah, because we didn't get far enough into the game did not save, so we just gotta do a new run.
This is a fairly precise trick, but there's a really good setup for it, and it is roughly, 10, 15 seconds into the run, so it's a good time to do it. So hard trick with a good setup. It saves a lot of time at the beginning of runs. It's a speedrunning classic.
We did recently, collectively as a community, gain the ability to do this trick a little bit faster by using an even earlier cycle.
There we go, that worked.
Nice.
And I think the reason that didn't work last time is if either the setup is slightly different or if the quantum moon is orbiting around Timber Hearth, the game is precise enough that just that little difference can sometimes alter the trajectory of the person as they're going up and trying to do the trick. So it is not 100% consistent, and it's just one of the few RNG aspects to this run.
And because this is 100%, there's two things we have to do in the first loop because they become impossible afterwards. One of those we did by talking to Hornfels and picking a specific option. And the other one is we have to talk to this guy here by the cliff. So that's why we had to land there by the cliff. Now we have to die twice just to set up our loop counter correctly because one of the logs is only available later on. So we just need to do that at some point.
This also has the added benefit of making the probe cannon around Giant Steep always be in the same spot. So I believe if you just try to go and do the route normally on the second loop, it won't always be in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
It's
correct.
by doing this stuff, it kind of sets everything up in the same spot.
For
which is
whatever
really nice.
reason, the devs made it so that on the third loop and only the third loop, the probe cannon always shoots in the same direction.
It's very handy for speedruns, though, so
Yeah.
I certainly won't question it.
And we could theoretically die somewhere else in the run to like recycle that death, so to speak, but then we have to watch this death cutscene, and the death cutscene is longer the longer you've been alive. So it's faster to just die immediately like we did. And at this point, we can kind of do the loops in a flexible order, and we decide to do Giant's Deep first, mostly because of RNG reasons. And yeah, here the order we're doing stuff, we're basically just trying to recycle some of these animations. So that's why they're going back and forth.
And you will also notice that the game's language is set to Russian. I don't know exactly why, I don't know if anyone does, but if you set the language to Russian, the text just takes slightly less time to show up when you are reading logs. And for any percent, that difference in time doesn't really matter, but for any percent you read enough logs that it does make enough of a difference that it's worth doing the run in another language. I don't think the difference in language is that extreme, though, is it? It's relatively small, but
It adds up over the course of
a fair amount.
is it?
It depends. Some of the languages are quite a bit slower. Some of them are similar.
Oh.
So.
Well, casual hello to the Quantum Moon as well, just, giving us a little drive-by. We'll be up there later, so. Alright. Now that we've done everything in the orbital probe cannon, we're going through to the North Pole, I believe, of Giant's Deep. And if you do everything in the same way at around the same speed, you kind of know the direction that you need to take off and fly to in order to get to this spot in Giant's Deep. It's definitely harder than it looks to learn it, but so one of the quirks about the different planets in Outer Wilds is that they all have their own kind of sense of gravity, and Giant's Deep has double the gravity of any other place. And you'll also notice what we're doing when we're jetpacking around is we're shooting out that scout and recalling it. And that's something called scout boosting. It just gives us a little bit of extra speed in the direction that we're shooting the probe. So if you combo that with jetpacking and boosting, then you can actually go really, really, really high. Much, much higher than you'd think after a vanilla playthrough. So scout boosting is an extremely important thing to going fast in this game.
So here in the trials, we're basically exploiting one of the quirks with the way the quantum mechanics works, which is that generally if you don't look at one of the quantum objects, it won't move from that point. So we can use that to kind of manipulate things to be in specific places really quickly.
Ooh, good spawn for those.
Yeah.
And good spawn on the well. Nice.
That was quite good.
Yeah, apart from the mess up going up, that was a really good quantum trials.
Just barely had enough fuel. Now we have to do the island cycles. There's some RNG involved with the islands, but generally they're in predictable locations.
Huh. I didn't know that there was any RNG with them at all. I'm learning new things as well.
Yeah, the tornadoes have some RNG.
Oh, yeah, that would do it.
Some weird things can happen. It's possible for islands to fuse together and stuff like that.
Speaking of learning new things.
It's supposed to be.
Can I cut in for a brief second, or are you guys busy?
I think it's a good time.
All right. I have $100 from T. Hurst III. Had to donate for Outer Wilds. My sister gifted me this game and begged me to play it, and I'm glad I did, because it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. I've been loving watching speedruns of it. ptminsker makes it look so easy. Happy to donate to help those in need, and thank you so much for that $100.
Yeah, the islands are not where they're supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
This is usually the laggiest part of the game for me.
Yeah, no, this island and Statue Island for me are terrible. Once you get past here, it's fine, but
Specifically, that one jump across the construction yard is usually the worst place for lag for me.
it's so hard. It's right as you get out of the ship and start turning around to scout boost over, you go down to 5 FPS. It's my favorite.
Oh, no, no.
Which that's what happened right there.
Yeah.
So one thing you'll kind of notice with our ship is that it is way more sturdy than it looks. We only really care about the ship taking damage in a few different ways. So we care about the ship taking damage to the thrusters. That's enough for us to get out and fix it. And we also care about the reactor getting damaged, because if you don't fix that, not going to have much of a ship anymore. But other than that, the ship can get as damaged as it wants. It really doesn't matter too much. So we will be taking some very aggressive landings and flights and all that fun stuff. I think you also care about the gravity crystal sometimes, like right when you need to eject,
sometimes.
but that's
depending on the category.
Only niche.
The fuel tank can matter sometimes.
Oh, true.
Autopilot matters in like one place.
So this right here is I think the biggest reason that we do Giant Steep right here and first, because this is the biggest pure RNG check in the entire 100% run. Because what we need to do is wait for a jellyfish to get close enough so that we can go underneath the electrical current at the core of the planet. And the spots that these jellyfish spawn are consistent, from what I understand, but the direction in which they're going and how high they spawn, those are RNG. So the jellyfish will spawn at the same spot, but whether or not they're going in the right direction that you want, that's completely RNG. So you can waste a lot of time going through here, so it's really nice to get this done in the first loop of the run.
Yeah, the difference between like perfect jellyfish RNG and really bad jellyfish RNG is like multiple minutes. So it's a huge run killer. This was like pretty mediocre.
Yeah. It just feels so incredibly good when you do get a good jellyfish spawn and you get to it. It feels really good. It just feels really terrible every single other time when you don't get a good jellyfish spawn. All right, and just like that, we are somewhere that we are very much not supposed to be on our first loop of the game.
And this is kind of an example of the general way we structure loops in this game, which is we just abandon the ship at some point and then quit to go back to the start, because it's just faster than getting back to the ship.
And as well, if you end off the loop with a death or anything like that, then you have to go through the entire mass cutscene. Well, not the mass cutscene, but the recollection cutscene. And if you do it with a quit out, then you skip that. So,
and luckily the
generally
game saves like when you're doing everything you're doing, so
yeah, it's really nice that it does that. All right, and with that, we have our first loop down. It's Giant Steep.
All right. Next up, we're going to be doing the Quantum Moon and Brittle Hollow.
This, I think, is my favorite individual loop. It's a very
really
fun one.
You know what else is fun?
I'm interested.
We have a new incentive for everyone to do. If we reach 4,000 total donations, Big Scared will watch the bonus cutscene unlocked in Signalis' artifact ending. That sounds super duper cool. So chat, if you want to help towards that, you put ! Donate in the chat. Maybe put it towards one of the costumes in the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. It was Mega Man, but it's been bumped up, and now Clown is ahead. So if you want Mega Man to win, you want something else to win, you need to put ! Donate in the chat right now and get your donations in by adding it at the bottom of the page.
So there was a little cool thing that we did there. We can take advantage of the fact that the planets in this game have some type of atmosphere, so we can use that to brake. So we just accelerate super, super fast, as we can, going towards, it's not, what is it, Hollow's Lantern? Yeah, Hollow's Lantern, that's the name of the moon. And we can use the atmosphere of Brittle Hollow to slow us down. That's a kind of nice little thing. And thankfully our ship is really, really indestructible, so we can just nosedive into the planet like that and be completely fine.
Yeah, and you'll notice frequently in the run that I'm often landing the ship in really awkward positions. The reason for that is because if one of the 3 landing legs is off the ground, you don't have to restart the engine when you get back to the ship, which saves like about 1.5 seconds every time.
So this part of the run I think is really cool. You're just flying around over an exposed planet. You get big jumps, get some good speed, doing some cool stuff. I don't know. It's a really cool loop. I think this is the technically most challenging loop of the route to learn. But I also think it's one of the flashiest and most impressive looking, so.
It was very different when I learned it, so.
I swear, landing on top of this quantum rock and making it so that you can actually get out of the ship is so much harder than PT is making it look. Landing correctly on top of that, I swear, is impossible.
Yeah, manipulating quantum objects is one of those things that is a little hard to describe, but once you practice it enough, it becomes fairly easy.
And now what we're doing right here is pressing tab to open the map of the solar system over and over again. Because what we're going to is the quantum moon, and that thing's entire shtick is that it's a quantum object, so if you're looking at it, it won't be able to move. So we need to open our map over and over again until we get the quantum moon to start orbiting around Brittle Hollow. And once we're there, we need to make our way over here to the shrine. We're going to do something cool here. Got a little bit of lore to read first, but if you go here in the doorway and stand in a very specific, well, not a very specific, but if you stand in a specific spot, then suddenly we've done a bit of teleportation, which I'm a big fan of. And just like that, you can skip all of the mystery of the quantum moon. The cheeky little out of bounds. Also,
That's
this
a
is
very
Solanum.
easy trick to do.
Oh yeah, it's so much easier than it looks. I looked at it and I was like, this has to be hard, and just kind of stand near the doorway. If anyone wants to try it themselves, just make sure that you don't toggle the light too quickly. Make sure that you land. And
Also make sure you're far enough away from the door, because otherwise,
also do that.
yeah, you'll get completely annihilated by the geometry.
And we no longer have access to the ship because it got left behind on the other version of the moon.
And now that we've done what we need to do, we are just looking around, trying to get this shuttle to spawn. So we can do a little bit more teleportation.
And that's the reason Quantum Moon and Brittle Hollow are together. Let's take advantage of that.
All right, and we have now reached the big jump part of the loop. So this is fun. You know, everyone has the idea of doing this casually, and I don't think, you know, many people end up doing it, but, you know, you can just do this. Just fall through the planet. Nice and casual.
Yeah, this
That's
planet
such a
is
cool
super fun to route. Because you can pretty much jump from anywhere under the crust to anywhere else under the crust in one go. So it's very fun to route.
That's the first big jump. We got another big jump coming. We got this one.
A lot of the routing has to do with where you put the refuels. Like we just did one right there. But there's limited places you can refuel, so you have to be careful with the routing of that.
Just having a casual conversation with Ryback while jumping into a black hole.
Yep. That's why we keep off the freeze time while talking to NPCs.
Ooh, that was nice. It is hard threading the needle there. All right, but now that we're done here, we'll start making our way up to the Black Hole Forge district. Just a little bit more hurtling through space. And now this is a really cool maneuver. This just kind of shows off like how good scout boosting really is. Like it allows you to pretty much just go anywhere you want. It's very good. I'm a big fan of scout boosting. So now that we're in here, we'll read all the logs, look at everything we need to look at, and make our way out. We'll do the final big jump of the loop. Just go ahead and go to the other side of the planet. And nice and casually make our way up here.
Nice.
This loop is so cool. Like, honestly. It's making me want to go back and play 100% again.
All right, next loop is going to be the Quantum Grove, Owl Rock, and the Interloper.
Quantum Grove is another big RNG moment in the run.
Probably the most
It's a little more
annoying
forgiving.
RNG.
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely the most annoying.
It's not like a run killer usually, but it's like annoying.
It's infuriating is what it is.
Okay, come on.
And
We
it's
need to
like
scan
really
the-
tricked
That's good
names
RNG.
trick.
Very good RNG. Because we need
Call
to
that poetry
scan
slam.
the rock and the sign on the tree there, but the name of the place is Quantum Grove. So as the name implies, everything in there just kind of moves around. So if you get really unlucky, the either the rock or the sign or both can just pretty much be hidden by trees, and you can't get in with your ship. It's one of the places of all time.
And trees can spawn inside your ship, and your ship can
There's-
get blasted by the geyser there.
There's so many things that can
There's
happen.
so many annoying things, yeah.
All right. So now that we've gone and had a chat, we're going to have a nap for a little while. We want to wait for a known time so that we can wake up at that time and know exactly where the interloper is going to be, which is where we're going next. And the flight over to the interloper is actually, it's kind of weird, just because it's different than the flight to pretty much any other object in the run, just because of how directly, or how fast it's going in towards the sun. It's not really like it's orbiting, it's more of a direct line. I don't know. Makes sense to me. But
Plus, it doesn't have much atmosphere to use to slow down, and also, when you
Also
get
true.
close to things in this game, your ship doesn't produce as much thrust. So once you get close to the interloper, your thrust just gets cut, and it becomes harder to slow down. So it's a bit tricky.
And also something nice about this game is that we do the timing for PC stuff with an auto splitter, and the in-game time for the live split doesn't actually run during these sleep cutscenes. And that's because it takes a different amount of time for different computers to actually speed up the physics during that sleep. So it takes a different amount of time to sleep for a minute, depending on how good or bad your computer is. So what people have done is just cut that time out completely from timing things. So when we're sleeping like that in runs, the timer isn't actually running during that. Also, something that's going on right here is if you look on the display of the ship, you notice the different thrust directions showing up. And what we'll do a lot in runs is diagonal thrusting, which is using the up or down thrusters along with the forward, back, left, and right, because those have like separate axes. Normally, you can only thrust all the way in one direction, but if you thrust at max capacity in one direction and max capacity in one of the other directions, you can do both at the same time. So you can go a little bit faster at the expense of not being able to look at where you're going.
Yeah, up and down specifically are separate, so.
Yeah. Up and down are separate to front, left, back, and right.
And this is one of the most fun parts of the run, just rocketing through these ice tunnels.
It's such a good payoff for learning the kind of finicky flight over to the interloper, for the movement inside the interloper to be just the most fun. Because you don't slow down like at all. You're just going forwards the entire time, let the walls correct you. It's a blast.
All right, next loop is the Hourglass Twins.
This might be the hardest planet to route, in my opinion, because you have a lot of time-based events, and some of them conflict with each other in some ways. Plus, there's a lot of things that are really convenient to route here. Right now, just sleeping for a good alignment.
So
Is
I
this
wasn't
the
actually in the community when we found out like the best times for each of these for how long to sleep to get to each planet. How did you guys end up figuring that out? Is it just trial and error?
So we have like a HTML utility that shows where everything is at different loop times. So what you can do is, if you're looking for a good alignment, you just go through the loop, see when the planets line up, and then pick the one that works best for your whatever you're routing. So like, you know, there might be maybe there's like 3 different alignments we could have used, and we pick the one that works best.
Yep.
I don't know the specifics for this specific one, but
We see yet another instance of our ship being virtually indestructible.
it sounded like the reactor got damaged.
I didn't see it on the display. I think it was the other thing that causes the alarm, but
It could be hull damage, yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't really matter though, because we are done with the ship for this loop.
Ah, so close.
Oh my god. Come on.
This trick's impossible.
This is a pretty hard jump.
It's very
Goes a long
precise.
way.
I usually give it one try and then just go the other way.
That's normally
Yeah.
what I end up doing as well. So the idea is that if you go into that column of sand right at the top, there's a little bit of a gap so that you can get through and not need to go through this kind of mazy section to get into this room. But it's really quite tight.
And the thing with the twins is the gravity is always shifting slightly from Ash Twin moving. So like every time you do it, it's like a slightly different feel.
Yeah. Because you're so close to the sun that any amount of difference in time means that gravity's pulling on you in slightly different ways, and it's just never quite feels the same from time to time.
Yeah, that matters a lot in suitless.
What perfect timing. As soon as we get a low fuel indicator, there's a conveniently placed refuel spot. Wow. It's like it was routed. Yeah, something I never appreciated casually how many random refuel spots there were just lying around the world. Because I was always just go back to my ship, but
So
something
easy to
the
miss it.
speedruns have made me appreciate.
But right there, we left our scout in a specific place for loading reasons. So at the moment, we can't use the scout.
So right there, we were doing the same thing we were doing with the Quantum Moon, where we just toggle the map until we get transported to the right spot. Now,
That's
if you
a bit
have
of
played
a
it,
sequence break too, because you're not supposed to be able to get in to that cave when the lights are on. But
yeah,
Oh, that
with
was a lucky there.
toggling map, you can.
that was like first try. Yeah, so anyone who's played Outer Wilds might be confused because we never went up to the high energy lab right at the beginning of the loop, and normally you'd be time gated out of it. But alternatively, if you do miss it, if you just completely phase out of bounds and fly through the planet, it's honestly quite easy to get in. I don't know why people didn't figure this out casually, but that's a really cool
We
trick,
actually,
by the way.
as a community, forgot about that for like 2 years. And we had a completely different out of bounds that's slower.
It was then rediscovered, and then it was like, wait a minute, isn't this out of bounds also a thing?
That's probably the most incomprehensible section of the entire run, what I just did there.
Yeah, there's some out of bounds.
There's several weird loading things going on there that are kind of trip up new runners when they don't know about it.
Now, is it still precise where you need the ship on the other side of the planet when you go to do the HEL out of bounds, or
No, the ship just needs to be on the other side of the planet,
okay?
not any more specifically.
Because right when this was getting talked about was right as I started getting into the community, so this is kind of where I learned the route. Anything before this, I do not know much.
Now we just need to be later in the loop to get some of Churt's dialogue.
Speaking of things that are later, we still have that costume bid war going on for Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Clown is currently in the lead with $100, but Mega Man's not too far behind at $51.02. If you want to get your costume choice in, please do it soon with the exclamation point donate in the chat.
Now, with that, Chert is not having the best time in the world, coming to terms with the end of the universe and all that fun stuff. So we're just going to go ahead, go to the other planet, and just do some other stuff. You know how it goes. And this flight over is so cool. I swear. I love it. This loop is cool. This game is cool.
Yep. So there's just a couple logs here that we're going to get because it routes in well here. And that's it.
And that's the twins.
All right, next loop is the last few things on Timber Hearth and then Dark Bramble.
Unfortunately, we still have to go to Dark Bramble at least twice in this run because if you go there with the warp core, you won't be able to pick up the broken core, and you need to put the broken core in order to get a log. And we don't have a way around that because there's no way to put down objects without 0G. Or you can't put down objects in 0G. You also can't put down objects in the ship.
I always think it's really nice that you can start activating that door from inside the ship. I don't know why, but I didn't think you could do that casually. Saw it in the speedrun and went, oh my gosh, what?
Well, you have to use free look, so
Yeah, fair.
don't really think of it.
Gonna go ahead and thread the needle right here between the wall and the steel beam a little bit, so...
And it just so happens that this works out perfectly to give us a really good trajectory to Dark Bramble.
I think that the Giant's Deep loop is the hardest to do, like, consistently just from RNG. I think probably Brittle Hollow is one of the most challenging to get, like, perfect and optimize. And I think the Twins loop is hard to get consistent because of the out of bounds, but I think that Dark Bramble is the hardest to learn, because this thing is a maze casually, and I'll be honest, it's not very much less of a maze in a speedrun. Learning the movement in here is tough. Well, it was tough for me anyways. But once you learn it and you know where everything is...
It's, you can just, earlier on in the run when we're at one of the escape pods, you can grab the signal, and that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, if you do that right on the Brittle Hollow loop, right before jumping into the planet for the first time. Which that's definitely what I did for my first few runs, so... And then from here, we just take a slightly more direct route to where we ended up going. And yeah. There's some story going on. It's very sad, but, you know, we got places to be.
You're meant to shoot your scout in there for a ship lock, but we can get it via other means. Ultimate feldsparing. Nice.
Can I just... Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Whew. Can I just say, as someone who's just learning Ultimate Feldsparing for any percent, it is crazy that you do that in 100%. I respect
I do it
it.
twice.
Do you really? Oh my gosh, you're crazy.
Yeah, because I do it in this loop and I do it in the final loop.
You're great. Well, oh yeah, from Final Loop, that... Yeah.
Final loop is like the same as any percent.
Yeah,
but
Final
that
Loop
one's
is any
a little
percent.
bit different.
And that right there is the entire reason we had to make this trip, just to get that one log.
One single interaction.
If anyone can find a way to get rid of that in the routing, it would be so nice.
Especially for shipless. It's so annoying having to come all the way here shipless just for that.
Now we're done with the ship.
If we eject early, it just lets us be outside the ship here. Sets us up in a nice spot to just pretty much appear at the jellyfish.
Yeah, you have to use a specific exit to get that to work.
And you kind of have to be careful when flying over to Feldspar, because I swear there's some like invisible piece of geometry or something where if you come in from below, you just like die if you hit it. So it's kind of nicer to come in almost from the side, from my experience. But
All right. Next is going to be the sun station.
I mean, honestly, with the finishing of the last loop, that was the majority of the content. You just got a little bit more cleanup stuff, and then we'll get to endgame. So, that being said, this entire part of the loop is really cool. So,
You know what else is really cool? I hear our bonus game, Resident Evil 2, is really super duper cool, but to get there, we need to raise $4,500. Too far off from that, chat, and honestly, I believe in you. I know you can do it. All you need to do is put exclamation point donate in the chat and put your money in towards helping LinearC. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated already.
all right, that was a pretty clean hotshot. Nice. That's impressive.
All right. Next is just going to be Zero G Cave. And then we're going to final loop.
Also, my individual favorite strat coming up. My most favorite strat. I love it so much. You know, some people, when they want to get across town, will drive. Some people will walk, but, Parthians decide to eject from the ship and just fly across the entire town that way. So, to each their own, honestly. But that eject strat right there is my favorite. It's just so neat, so nice, so easy.
Now we got to do the tutorial at the very end of the run.
Yeah, the reason we do this as its own loop is because that elevator ride is really, really long. So getting back out of here takes ages. And because it's extremely easy, we just put it right at the end before the final loop. All right, we're going into the final loop. Additional spoiler warning. If any of that looked interesting to you, we're about to play through the ending. So now's your chance to hop off if you haven't.
We've still got a few more ship logs to get, but we should get all of them during this loop.
Yeah, and essentially this part of the run is just any percent plus a few extra stops. It's always been kind of funny to me that any kind of category extension typically ends up being any percent plus a few different things just by the nature of how the game works. But it does have the added benefit of if you get good at any percent and you go on to any other category, you're automatically going to be very well practiced at the ending of it. So there's a lot of carryover between categories. Nice little time save there. You can shoot the scout into the warp platform, and it starts the animation a bit earlier. We just said goodbye to Dark Bramble, but we gotta go back.
Nice.
It's that Ultimate Feldspar again, making it look easy. The return of eject strats as well. I was a little bit worried about that for a minute.
Got way there.
I just gotta say, the music right here is utterly beautiful.
Music just in the game entirely is incredible. The game has incredible music.
And this should be the last ship log. Now we just need to beat the game. So there, we just get to the door fast enough that it didn't load in, so we just go through it. So now we're out of bounds, and we're just going to fly and hit a load zone.
All right, and that's that. Got to go up and interact with an object through the floor. And now we get on to the next part.
So here we kind of just want to land as fast as possible because there's a timed sequence that starts when you get here.
And from here on out, it's essentially an auto-scroller. So we go over here to a specific spot. There's a bit of a lineup from just what you would normally do to get down to the ground, and then you look for a line of 3 trees in a row. Follow that to where they're going, and then stand in the middle of the groves and wait for wait for the universe to collapse. So. And in runs, this is kind of like a nice place to chill for a little bit, calm before the storm, because the last section of the run can be a bit
Good place
easy to
to
throw.
collect your nerves.
Yeah,
especially
because
90%.
oh yeah. And in this section, we've got to go along and pretty much collect all of our friends up, go along, find all their instruments, get the band back together. So
Collecting chert there's a bit of a blink and you miss it strat.
it
You
really
can gather
is.
the drums from any distance, as long as you're zoomed in with the signal scope, so you can just grab them from right next to Ryback there.
And if you noticed, when we were in that auto-scroller section, PT got the signal scope out and got it as unzoomed as possible, just to set up for that strat right there.
This is the one thing I want to solve in Sublist that's not solved. It's grabbing that mask right there. And that's the last instrument, I believe.
Yep, that's it. Now we roast a marshmallow, sit back, and that's that.
Right, we're coming up on the end of the run here. And time. All right. Big thanks for inviting me to run at this event. It's been a fun time. Big thanks to Mobius Digital for making this incredible game, and big thanks to the Outer Wilds speedrunning community. It's a really great community. None of this would be possible without all of them. So, if the two of you have anything else left to say, or good to end it.
None from me.
Join the Outer Wild speedrunning Discord.
I have that to say too. Join the Outer Wilds speedrunning community. They're awesome.
All right, server is deafened. Good job.
Right.
I think you deafen Pi, not stream.
That was a fantastic run of the Outer Wilds. I'd like to take a moment to say hello to everyone in chat. I'm your host, Doodleplex, and we are raising money to help LinearC, a newly single mother, and her 9-year-old son, Ken, also known as Ken-kun. He goes to a public Japanese immersion school where he is learning Japanese alongside his regular studies. Favorite video games is Sonic the Hedgehog, and he is Sonic and Shadow's biggest fan. He wants to be a speedrunner when he gets older and loves cheering on Linear in everything she does. 100% of your donations go to helping Linear and Ken. So be sure to type !donate in the chat and help us help Linear. So wait, chat. Coming up, we are going to help another boy, Meat Boy that is, save his girlfriend, Bandage Girl, from the evil Dr. Fetus with the help of our runner, Shredberg. And guess what, chat? We are going to see the dark ending. If you don't know what that is, it's a black and white version of the game, and that makes it so much harder. You don't want to miss that. And while we're getting this all set up, I want to take a moment to remind you of a couple of things that you, yes, you chat, can get in on. We have coming up the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, where you can pick the costume worn. We have a clown. We have Mega Man. We have Ken from Street Fighter, and we have Nemesis, as well as Riku's giant fish person. They are all excellent costumes. Currently, Clown is in the lead with a $100. Mega Man's not too terribly far behind with $51.02. So chat, if you want something else to be the costume that is worn, if you want it to be Ken, you want it to be a giant fish, you want it to be a riding guy from Street Fighter, !donate in the chat. Scroll all the way down, click the incentive you want, and make sure you hit add to make sure that what you want goes in with your donation. I'd also like to remind all of you that we have some really cool things coming up later in the event. We have Signalis, and we have a bonus cutscene incentive, where if met, Big Scared will watch a bonus cutscene unlocked in Signalis' artifact ending. We need $4,000 total to get that, and if we hit $4,500 total, we will get the Resident Evil new game, Claire A assisted launcher. That sounds amazing. You know how we can do that, chat? About $150 per game. And that will get us there. Maybe we can have some donations, trains, I don't know, $10. That sounds like a fun thing. I don't know. There's so many things. We also have cool games coming up like Little Nightmares 2. We also have Clock Tower 3 run by LinearC. What is cooler than that? Cannot wait for all of these amazing games. Chat, please put your money in towards some of these really cool things. I do not want any of you to miss out on any of the cool things we have for you. So, give you guys a minute to go put your donations in. I cannot wait for you guys to see everything we have to offer. And you don't need to have a lot to donate. You can have any amount you need to. If you can't donate, any amount will help. We have $5 from Anonymous. There's no comment, but thank you so much for your generosity. It is greatly appreciated. I cannot thank you all enough. I'm going to take a wait for just a second to see if we are ready to go. And when I come back, we will be bonking our way through Super Meat Boy. Stick around.